Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 3 of our slow and immersive playthrough of Victoria 3 as Cuba, where we're going to fight for our independence from Spain and then steer ourselves towards a progressive socialist society. Hopefully the earlier the better, but we don't know. So let's go ahead and unpause at a slow speed. Just do a very quick recap. We have kicked off our construction with a few logging camps, a couple of construction sectors, and a tooling workshop to support our logging camps as we switch to sawmills. Why did we do that? This is because we're pretty much forced to use capitalist methods of mass production for the resource industries, since we need a lot of resources to keep the prices of things like wood low, mainly because right now we're using it for construction and we want to minimize the pressure on our budget for now. And also there will be industries like furniture manufacturers and paper mills that will feed the rest of our economy, so we want to keep the input price low for the logging camps. The reason for that is we need a strong budget in order to be able to afford a strong navy to rival that of Spain, who hasn't actually started to rearm yet. We'll need that navy in order to be able to stop any naval invasion and negate their massive and frankly, a massive advantage in land-based armed forces, which we simply cannot match due to manpower requirements. Even if we could match it in terms of manpower, in terms of a standing army at the start of the any new war for independence, we could never match their capacity to replace losses. Therefore, we have elected to build up a navy and try to fight them at sea and stop any naval invasion by defeating their fleets. If we manage to pull that off, we should be able to win our independence. Now, so let's go ahead and pause and just check our construction queue quickly. Yep. So we do have things queued in. So we have textile mills next, food industries, paper mills, and furniture manufacturers after that. Mainly because furniture manufacturers is actually the most profitable industry to build right now, but our private sector luckily is building us a level of that industry already. Now, in terms of our laws and research, we haven't done anything to change our politics. We're still run by the Conservative Party, run by the landowners, Catholic Church, and armed forces, who have basically monopolized power, both in terms of clout, given we were historically mainly a agricultural economy based on, exploiting the local resources of sugar, tobacco, coffee, bananas, livestock. I think we built already ourselves since we started the game, and a bit of rice here. And so the country is run predominantly by aristocrats, farmers, and the clergy that supports them, given where 100% of our population is Catholic. Now, we did have a choice at the start to pass charity hospitals, and there was already a comment on the first episode as to why we should do that. It is a good idea, but as I have discussed already, we have elected to instead wait and direct all of our research efforts towards pharmaceuticals, which will unlock an extra level of health system, which is good even if you have charity hospitals. But what it will also do is unlock public health insurance for us, since it requires pharmaceuticals, and we should then be able to hopefully pass that with the support of the Catholic Church. So let's see when hopefully we get there in this episode, and I will explain again as to why we have gone down that route. There you go. Let's just kind of pay attention slowly. So another logging camp has been finished. Yeah, price of wood is now kind of a healthy. I think there is scope to build another level here and bring the price down further. However, we do right now, I'm not inclined to do that. A, because I want to build other industries that are more profitable and satisfy our local demand with just basic clothes furniture, paper, etc. I also do want these capitalists to do want this building to be quite profitable, so that more profits accrue to our capitalists, who will hopefully push the clout of industrialists up a bit and bring them into opposition and out of being marginalized, and therefore activate their traits as they should be. Yeah, they're very loyal to us, so they do agree with the way the country is run. We just need them to increase their clout. So to that end, I'm okay with this building running a bit more profitable. And another reason why I think it is worth often to not build up a building, a resource building, or any manufacturer building down to kind of like 10% or 0% differential of base price, is because by leaving this relatively high, not so high that it's penalizes your budget or kind of hampers your other industries, but leaving some kind of money on the table, leaving some profitability, I think that acts as an incentive for the AI, effectively, right, the private sector, to actually build that for you. Whereas if you build this up yourselves, you're going to be the one spending money out of your budget instead of spending it on government maintenance or a navy or whatnot. You will be forced to spend that money on yourself, and then the AI will just sit there on the investment pool and do nothing with it. I've had that situation arise quite often, as you've seen in previous playthroughs as well. But we'll try to maximize the use of the investment pool. And the way to do that is to make sure you have a lot of construction. Construction can be expensive, right? And you have just as many capitalists, mostly it is, because they have the highest investment pool reinvestment ratio. So you want some of those, but you effectively want this investment pool to kind of grow slowly, but not have to sit on millions of pounds, which I have sometimes ended up myself. Also like 10 million pounds of investment pool, because it does nothing for you unless it gets used eventually. Although, were you, I think, to take over the country as a command economy, as communists, you would actually take over all of that investment pool into your treasury, I think, into your gold reserves, which is quite interesting. But for now, we are doing fine. Let's go ahead and speed up to speed 3. Now, let's actually click on these elections. So, very interesting. 1839, our first elections. Date of election is 9th of November, 1836. So, elections typically run, it's not an election process, but it's an election campaign season, you could say. So, it runs for 180 days. And you will see here, so current polls, we got 258,000 people are projected to vote. There you go. Current election, Conservative Party. Momentum is 53%. Conservative Party is projected to get 100% of the votes. This would give them 258,000 political strength from votes, which is plus 17.7 thousand compared to the result of the last election. Now, this is mainly last election. They also got 100% of the votes. So this is just because we have more people now. Right? They've grown. Partly because the population has grown, plus we build new buildings, and therefore new people have new aristocrat, clergy, etc. jobs have been created, who now vote for the landowners and the Catholic Church, and increase the number of votes here. So this isn't because they become more popular, obviously. They're pretty much as popular as one can be. So last election, they got 100% of the votes, and that provided them with 240,000 political strength, led by Ramon Maceo from Landowners. Members, these. So here we will see, if we had another party, we'd see another line to kind of current projected votes kind of share, evolving over the campaign season. Now here there's a summary. So we have landed voting. Those who own land or capital property are given a vote. We can ignore that event just for a second. So this gives us 100 authority, which we have plenty of. We have 100 legitimacy based on government clout, right? So that means whatever clout we have is multiplied by 100, which basically 1 for 1. If you have 80% of clout in government, you have 80 legitimacy. 40 legitimacy, then additional legitimacy based on votes. So while you can have less clout, right? If you win a lot of votes, you could get up to 40 legitimacy based on votes. Oh, there we are. And that's exactly what I wanted to happen. Industrialists have risen in clout. That's because there's a lot of a lot of people support the industrialists, and it's typically the industrialists themselves, and they're very wealthy. and they agree with our government, right? And they are very loyalist, A, because they agree with the laws, and B, because their standard of living has risen. But we'll talk about that as well in a second. Let's talk about elections here. So total voters, we got 167,000 people. Politically unaligned, we got 830,000. Now these are actual voters. So it's kind of, I think it's pretty confusing, right? Because wait, how should I put this? Yeah. So it kind of says, for example, here 100% of the votes, they will get 258,000 political strength from votes. Right now, why is it this much strength from only this many votes? Well, because distribution of power landed voting, right? So it gives us 40 legitimacy based on votes, as I just said, plus one government size allowance. So we can have 2 parties, I believe, in government. Under landed voting, 20% government ideology penalty, so higher penalty if the interest groups and parties that compose the government have different kind of ideologies that are opposed to each other, or are not aligned perfectly. But here it says this is the political strength we get from votes. But the fact that only 4 of these, I'm going to pause this, the fact that only 4 of these even get power, conversely means everyone else, all other POPs professions, have zero vote power, right? So even if they do cast a vote, it doesn't matter. In reality, the way the game models this is that only these guys have a vote. Now, we only have very few capitalists right now. So I'm actually, well, now that we have, let me talk about this. Yep, so aristocrats and clergymen, not surprisingly, they support landowners and the Catholic Church. Officers support the armed forces, and all of these 3 groups are very much aligned, so to speak, or like very kind of, they have a very singular way of thinking, I would say. So like 2/3 of clergymen support the Catholic Church, about 1/3 support rural folk, and that's it. Rest, there's always some people who are kind of all over the place, right? Support whoever. I mean, some support intelligentsia, some armed forces, but it's the Catholic Church and rural folk mostly. Whereas aristocrats, here they are. Again, 2/3 support the landowners. Some support armed forces, some support intelligentsia in the Catholic Church. Whereas officers, I probably even the most, we don't even have a lot of them, but here we are. Yes, 70% support the armed forces. The other 18% are landowners. Again, unsurprisingly, given at this time, most of the officers are probably drawn from the ranks of aristocracy, commissioned officers commanding the nation's military forces in the army and navy. Politically, they represent the upper echelons of the armed forces. And the Catholic Church. So these guys all kind of support each other. So landed voting is an interesting system because, it is. They are elections, right? I mean, there's votes being cast, and therefore some legitimacy is derived from votes. But the thing is, only aristocrats, clergymen, officers are given votes, right? And they obviously vote. These 3 POPs, as you saw, support each other's interest groups. Predominantly, aristocrats go to landowners, clergymen go to Catholic Church, officers go to armed forces, but there's secondary groups, other than clergymen, right, which we saw support rural folk. They kind of support each other. So this system is unsurprisingly produces results where it's 100% of these guys support the Conservative Party, right? Now, capitalists, what's interesting is that although we only just had capitalists arise, and they're now in opposition, so they actually can form a party. But interestingly, they have not done so just yet. Now, as I've mentioned in the first couple of episodes, rural folk also haven't formed a party. Now, there are in-game coded in sort of values and kind of attractions as to, and then reasons, I guess, why interest groups form parties. Now, first you need an electoral system of some kind for them to even think about forming a party, because again, votes can only be cast for a party, not for an interest group. There is clout, but this means nothing in elections unless there's a border around here and it says this guy's in a party. Right? Rural folk will probably form the agrarian party, I think is theirs, like the base party they have. Industrialists most often go with the free trade party, intelligentsia go with the Liberal Party. Then there are modifiers based on do they form a party. There's also these same modifiers that kind of make them lean towards joining another person's party. And it all depends on kind of the laws you have, how much they don't like the system, and how much chance they think of winning and getting into government. It's quite kind of complex, to be honest. I haven't memorized it all, but if you really want to, you can go to Victoria 3's wiki and like read about these attractions. There's like 10 or 15 factors for each interest group and as to which party they join. But here we are. We will have 167,000 voters. And these are, I guess, these should be the sum of aristocrats, capitalists, clergymen, and officers. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to get capitalists, right? Right now, right now, let's go population. So now that we've built these logging camps, we now have gotten capitalists over the last 3 years, 1.6 thousand of them, which is really 400 capitalists that actually own the buildings, and then they have 1,200 dependents, right? And here they are. They all work in logging, they all profit from the logging camps. They all support the industrialists. If you click on them, again, this is another pop profession that is very, what's the word, like monodirectional in their thinking, right? 80% of them support the industrialists. Some support the Catholic Church, some support intelligentsia. So they will support the industrialists. They will gain clout quite quickly because even though there are many of them, you can see their wealth is 42. If we look at anyone, obviously, look, aristocrats, average standard of living is 27. Right? Why is this? Well, because they run the agriculture, right? If you look at aristocrats, they work on subsistence farms, but sugar plantations, rice, right? They are the ownership class for the agricultural industries, right? Anything from manufacturing, basic manufacturing, is owned by shopkeepers, as is basic resource buildings like mines and logging camps. They're owned by shopkeepers, never by aristocrats, and those buildings simply tend to be more profitable. Why? Because the goods they produce tend to have a higher base price in and of itself, and the demand for those things tend to be much higher. And therefore, you sell higher quantity at a higher base price. And then, in fact, the price will probably deviate away from base price, more likely upwards, because as you industrialize, you're typically in short supply of whether it's wood, coal, or iron, especially at the start of the game. So, unsurprisingly, capitalists hold a lot of clout, because we have 400 capitalists, most of them support the industrialists, and they are all very, very wealthy. So we were here. So clergymen, average standard of living of 19. Aristocrats 27, obviously the richest, but if you go these, they're 42. And as I've discussed in the previous two Let's Learn series, is there a quick tooltip here? But no, there isn't. But let's have a look. Political strength, you see. It is very important to remember that the political strength, which is the clout from wealth, right, goes up exponentially. So you see, each capitalist brings 160 political strength, right, per politically active pop, 160, because they have a wealth of 43. This modifier plus 25% from capital state, yes, that always exists for all countries, but we only have one state. So for us, all pops we have and will have throughout this playthrough, most likely, will have that modifier. So that we can kind of ignore right now, but it's 160, whereas aristocrats, they're also very prosperous, right? Even these guys, even say subsistence farms, they're 31. Actually, some of these are actually struggling or middling, on the sugar plantations. But let's say even 35. Right, let's say higher. So our richest aristocrats are ones running tobacco plantations. But even they, so only 36, they're not, right, as opposed to 43 for capitalists. But they are only at 100 political power per politically active pop. So capitalists being only 7 levels of wealth above them, which is really a sixth of this, which is a sixth is 16%. Capitalists are 16% wealthier than them, or like 16% higher standard of living, but they are 60% more politically active, have more political power per pop, right? So this goes up exponentially. So that standard of living is very important, and that's why you will always see, as you build up resources, again, as I said, so this will be higher base price, plus it is more likely than in agricultural buildings, that at the start of the game, especially as you industrialize and you don't have that much consumption because most of your population is on low standard of living, so they don't consume things like sugar. This will be much higher, right? It's a high price, high volume, therefore high profits, distributed among a very concentrated number of owners, only 100 capitalists here. I mean, ownership by aristocrats is also pretty concentrated, it's also 100, but the thing is, this is much lower price. Yes, for example here, 294 sugar produced and 295 wood, right? So same quantity, but the price of wood is generally higher, and there's more likely to be a shortage of it, therefore driving up the base price, right? Sugar, there we are, it's a price of 9, right? But this is owned by aristocrats, so they're not very wealthy, whereas capitalists will very quickly, and shopkeepers too, if you leave these on basic. For example, our tools workshop, likewise, not very super profitable right now, but it will get more profitable. But owned by shopkeepers, of which there are 500 in the middle strata, right? But they will also gain in political clout. So there we are. That is, these are our, quote unquote elections that are ongoing now. Also, while the election campaign goes on, the main thing, the main random factor, is this momentum, right? A value that is randomized at the start of election plus changes from events, plus 43%, adjustment from Ramon Maceo's popularity, 10%. So momentum kind of means how well they're doing in this election. And they have 53%. I think this is kind of irrelevant right now since we only have one party, but it is good for us to go through, these elections over the course of this playthrough and see, how, each small change introduced changes the mechanics of the game. But there we are. You will always get events during campaign seasons, and they're kind of random, and they will typically change something about, loyalty or attraction or ask for money, etc. So let's see what this one brings us. Seferino Mota, who's an agitator who wants to start a movement to enact elected bureaucrats. He's armed forces Democrat. Serafino Mota has criticized numerous decisions made by the leadership of his own conservative party, calling Miguel Tacón Irazik excessively cautious and unwilling to address critical issues. It would be best to simply do as he wishes. Miguel Tacón Irazik gets embarrassed by association for 5 years, minus 30 popularity. Now, what will this do? That should reduce the momentum. Right, Ramon Maceo. Who's Ramon Maceo? Maceo is the leader of the landowners. Miguel Tacón Irazik is our first of all our president. Right, he is the leader of the armed forces faction. He's a moderate. He's cruel. To be honest, I want him gone as soon as possible, I think. So he will get minus 30 popularity, which will mean less popularity for the armed forces. But the Conservative Party will actually gain 20% momentum. Interesting. So I think perhaps it is I'm actually not sure about this myself, but I think it is only the party with the highest clout that affects the momentum of the party, right? Because it's only Ramon Maceo's popularity that seems to affect us. This is Ramon Maceo, his popularity is neutral. Yeah, this guy's number 2, so his popularity doesn't seem to affect it, so he must be kind of the leader of the party. Current party affiliation, yeah. Okay. Make a point of improving the vigor we put forward. Doesn't really matter, I guess. I will go with this, minus 30 popularity, because I want this guy gone, hopefully. He's already disliked, and I don't like him either. So this won't make a difference because changing momentum in an election with one party obviously doesn't change much for us. But actually, I've never seen this guy. I actually did pre-play this myself, trying to figure this out, and I think this is the tooltip from the Victoria 3 wiki page that actually gives you some idea as to why landowners decided to affiliate themselves, I guess the way the game refers to it, with Conservative Party, right? You see 32. Why? So base value, nobody wants to form a party, but Conservative leader ideology, plus 5, Conservative ideology, plus 5. So I think that will always be true for landowners. is powerful, and landowners are powerful. So that's, they have 41% clout. That's what that refers to. Let's go ahead and pause for a second while I go over this. So they are powerful, so they're more likely to form a party, right? But in fact, I would start with this. So if you take any interest group, they will at first have a base value of -5. They don't want to form a party. They just want to kind of sit there, and I guess, and just kind of do nothing, right, so to speak. Then they have a conservative ideology, right? And I think these must be counted in the game as conservative ideologies. They're then powerful, meaning they have more than 20% clout. That would give them +10, right, towards forming a conservative party. The conservative leader ideology. So that means their leader, he's a slaver, and this must be a conservative ideology. Again, it's not explicitly stated in the game, so this is all a little bit obscure, if I'm honest. But this is why they have strong attraction, now +15, to form and stay in a conservative party, you see. The Republican governance principles +3, no police law gives them +3, so they do want to form the natural party member. Oh, there you go, +16. There you go. So they have some natural attraction, plus, they're more powerful, they're more conservative, they want to be in this party, they want to be in the electoral process. And that gives them all this +32. Now, if you look at Catholic Church, it's +8, right? So it's a bit kind of less likely. So we're lucky that they are in this party. It also means that perhaps with certain changes in laws, etc., they might actually leave this party if their affiliation to join another party rises above +8, right? But they do have generally conservative ideology, just like landowners, conservative leader ideology. Who do we have? He's a royalist, not surprising. And the Republican governance principles +3 gives them. Not really sure what that means exactly. Again, armed forces affiliation, patriotic ideology, no police law makes them more likely. So if we did pass a police law, then this would go away, right? They would kind of become happier, and they would perhaps start their own party, or even quit the party and just remain an interest group. Like they don't want to participate in electoral politics. And there you go. That's what I talked about in the second episode, is that 2 other party members gives them a -1. Maybe this has actually changed, because Wiki says that it's almost like a half or a quarter of attraction. It's a kind of a percentage multiplier penalty, that if there are more than 2 members, they're very unlikely to join that party. Go ahead and keep the game on pause, and it will count down, and we can see it's because of our events, right? The values that is randomized at the start of election, plus changes from events. Overall is 63%, adjustment from Ramon Maceo's popularity, +10%. So interesting, I didn't actually know that. I think it is the leader of the largest interest group of that party that actually only his popularity seems to count towards the momentum of the party as a whole. Since he's the party leader, he will also become our what is it, president, I guess. Right? Empiricism unlocked, an epistemological philosophy deriving knowledge from empirical evidence, information gathered from experiences rather than cultural norms or religious beliefs. In 10% influence, we get 0.5% per wealth education access, so literacy is going to start to creep up. We get +1 max education institution investment. We also unlock total separation, state atheism, and unlocks public schools in education system. Okay. Yeah. So we can now move away from having a state religion. Unlocks the Liberal Party. Interesting. And you see some text will unlock. So there we go. Liberal Party. A party is a political entity that participates in elections. They consist of 1 or more interest groups whose ideologies are at least somewhat compatible. These interest groups are empowered by the votes the party has won proportional to their clout. Individual interest groups cannot be included in government without the rest of their party members. Yep. There we are. So liberal. So now our intelligentsia may actually be able to participate in elections. Now perhaps, I would have thought rural folk can form the agrarian party already, if I'm honest. Same as industrialists. Let's have a look quickly. Do they need anything to form the... Or maybe it's Oh yeah, look at this. So stock exchange is actually what we need for the industrialists to form the free trade party. And this is the base, the base party um, for industrialists. Interesting. Something I actually missed myself in my own like pre-plays of this playthrough. But there we go. I guess you learn something new every day. So we do need to unlock that if we want that party. Now, I definitely do know is that we need labor movement, but I actually kind of missed the fact to unlock that we need labor movement to unlock the Social Democratic Party. That I know, but I didn't know that even the basic parties need to be unlocked through techs. And stock exchange is actually a tech we would very much like to get for the 10% market access price impact, the minus 25% trade route bureaucracy, were we to establish more than 5 trade routes, which we currently have running, and to get the free trade party. And once that is formed, we will see. We will draw some of the voting votes away towards industrialists. Now we have paddle steamer unlocked through technology spread. The paddle steamer is a steam-powered watercraft where the steam is used to turn paddles that pushes the ship through water. 10% Navy offense and defense. Okay. Let's go ahead and kind of push through a little bit. Lathes unlocked. The lathe is a machine for rotating a piece of metal, be it metal or wood. A piece of material, be it metal or wood, so that it can be easily machined into the desired shape. Unlocks dye workshops for textile mills, lathes for furniture manufacturers, leaded glass for glassworks. Pretty good, so more clothes, more furniture, more glass. Okay, we have Napoleonic warfare spreading. We have mechanical tools spreading. That's very good. Now let's keep going here. Again, we can just, so I'll keep this at a slower speed, but let's check our trade center, as we saw and we discussed extensively in the previous episodes. So trade is doing fine, very profitable. We're fine on convoys, kind of going up and down a little bit, but ultimately it's level 20 now. It used to be level 23 at some point, but here we are. But our shopkeepers aren't doing super well, but they're doing well enough, I guess. Check on population growth. Okay, we're at 1 million, so we now got 80,000 extra pops. Again, migration is the bigger factor, even than pop growth, right? Again, it's a benefit of being in the Spanish market. Now this should, come up considerably once we get rid of the, first of all, insignificant power stages. Oh, there we go. Ramon is our new Governor General. The time of Miguel Tacon y Razik as a ruler has ended. Ramon Maceo is the new Governor General. Okay. So what happened was, the election has been held. Election results in Cuba are in. Conservative Party votes 100%. Excellent. Unity. Now, Governor General Ramon, so the leader of the party, I guess becomes the president, or whoever the prime minister, the chancellor. Let's have a look who he is. He's reckless, 10 popularity, minus 20% character, health. As ruler, 20 maneuvers per diplomatic play, 20% infamy generation. None of these really matter for us, since we can't even start diplomatic plays because we are a puppet. Infamy, we're not colonizing. Oh, sorry, forget about that. Infamy is about, we're not doing any diplomatic plays again. Popularity, I guess that will help with momentum in future elections. He might die sooner because of his health issues. He's also a diplomat, which is another 10 popularity, and as a ruler gives us 5% influence. The character is a skilled diplomat. This character is known to be reckless and foolhardy. Okay, a reckless diplomat is what we have. He's a slaver. This leader views slavery as a natural part of their way of life and opposes its abolition. Okay, well that's, gonna be a drag. Now, rural folk honest work has been activated. They're happy, so we get agriculture, ranches, plantations, throughput, taking in 10% more inputs and producing 10% more output while keeping the same amount of labor. Good. So we have almost doubled our GDP now. I think we started, 800,000? Yeah, it was almost doubled our GDP, and we are in 1940, so 4 years. Doubled our GDP, did nothing for our literacy pretty much. have notched up slightly our average standard of living, but the reality for the lower strata, things haven't really changed now. I think what really pulled this up is the capitalists pulling up upper strata. Okay, an extra 80,000 population. Yeah, we're mostly loyalists, so things are looking up. Let's go ahead and just speed up just so we get through more of the time. We're doing fine on our budget, but don't really have any leeway in actually starting to build up our navy, which we would really want to do. There we go. Let's have a look at our new buildings, furniture manufactories. Might as well go straight away and build luxury furniture as well as should we though? Should we could. We're gonna start building basic furniture. Changing luxury production method for luxury furniture. We produce 25 less furniture, which would increase the price from 42.8 to 43. Luxury furniture is currently worth 90. So this would make this building more profitable. So I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna have to take hardwood from the Spanish market, since we're not producing any ourselves. But it will make the whole building better off. So, and will allow us to actually build up more levels, because we will need more levels to bring the price of furniture down. Price of luxury furniture is likely to come down pretty close to base price, but furniture is still pretty expensive. So another level can be built. That works for us. Improved relations broken with Great Britain and the United States because we reached the maximum. Catholic Church, my favorite trait, has been activated. Why is that? That's mainly because we're loyalists, I guess. Yeah. So as our clergy, I guess mainly increase their standard of living, right? Given profits across kind of different industries have risen as our economy has grown, and we've traded set up good trade routes, raising the demand for our goods in our market because we're exporting them now. Loyalists have risen, and now that's an extra 0.5 population growth rate, so we're now 1.2. That is excellent. And yeah, now we're actually, that is a big increase. Yep. Now we have more growth from our own population than from migration. Let's quickly go ahead and go diplomacy. Where is diplomacy? Diplomatic actions, and just improve relations. Let's say Russia and France, whoever can help us in our fight for independence. We're willing to talk to them. So we have also built textile mills. There we are. Some clothes. Now the question for us here. Yeah, we do need luxury clothes. Cost 30 fabric, 15 silk. It will be quite expensive. I would suggest we do switch. We'll employ an extra 500 shopkeepers as well. So let's go craftsman sewing. That will bring up total number of shopkeepers to 1,000, which is good. Get people employed and upskilled and raise their standard of living, raise total value of the output of our building, raising our GDP, increasing our minting income, right? Therefore, again, leaving more money in the budget for the Navy that we need. We will have to, fortunately, so both of these now, so the textile mills and the furniture manufacturers, increase our dependence on being in the Spanish market. So whenever we do make a bid for independence, right, we're going to need to find an alternative source of hardwood and silk. So we are kind of tying ourselves up with the Spanish market more and more. And that's something to be mindful of, especially given we are aiming for independence. Petit bourgeoisie, there you go, has become influential and stop being marginalized, putting them up in opposition. That's excellent because they're loyal, because they genuinely agree with our laws. Obviously, they've just been turned and upskilled into shopkeepers, so their standard of living has been going up. So we activate both of these traits. Second one, not really relevant for us, but the first one, plus 10% bureaucracy, is a very nice one. So it's good to have a balance of clout, I think, at the start of the game in a situation like this, just to get various groups to 5% and make sure we activate these traits. Now, this would be very nice for us if we could just get intelligentsia up. But yeah, there isn't really a way. The only way I can think of right now to quickly bringing up approval of intelligentsia is to raise government wages. But we don't really need the authority, nor can we really afford it for +2 approval. If this tipped us over into actually activating this, maybe there's scope, there's reason to do it. But even now, we only have +2, and we need to be at +5. And again, why here? Well, they still have loyalists, just like all other groups. We're building up loyalists. Unfortunately, leader is wrathful. Who's this guy? Oh, first of all, they have a bad leader. Second of all, they obviously don't agree with a lot of things in our nation. Who's this guy? You see, he's wrathful. Okay, this character is known for their frequent outbursts of anger. Okay, it's not really helping. Not really helping their cause. The land reformer. Okay. Well, at least clout is being pulled away from landowners slowly, right? So they started with 40%, yeah, in fact 50% they started with. So that has gone down a little bit. Why? Because clout is a zero-sum game. The more we add, right, the more clout we create by creating different types of pops and increasing their standard of living, i.e. wealth, right? That increases their political strength in the pool, plus maybe more pops. I mean, I guess we haven't really increased literacy, but as we increase literacy, more pops become politically aware and politically aligned, right? That pool, that pie changes, and therefore it gets pulled away likely from landowners, since we're not creating any agricultural buildings. Although our private sector has created a few in the past and is currently building more livestock ranches. But again, these aren't very profitable. Therefore, even though yes, it's creating new aristocrat jobs here, this building is barely profitable. And so, not really adding much clout to the aristocrats. Ottoman Empire began embargoing Egypt. Okay. Let's go ahead and speed up, just so we get through some of this. Really want to unlock pharmaceuticals in this episode. Now, we do have enact census suffrage. Not a bad idea. Now, this is something to talk about. Maybe it's on our way. So I guess... yeah, so our first geopolitical aim is to gain independence. In order to do that, we need a navy, as we discussed. Okay, Spain is luckily not building up a navy either yet. So we have time, it seems. Now, our second aim is obviously to build ourselves into a progressive socialist society. Now, how do we do that? There is kind of two ways, I would say. One is to get a revolution going, but that would mean we have to oppress the lower strata quite massively. But I actually think it's pretty hard to get a revolution up and running, because even if you seem to oppress them and tax people and just not really care about them, because you will have such massive GDP growth and wage growth, I actually think it kind of keeps most people relatively happy. Now, slave trade will obviously produce a lot of radicals. So revolution is one way, but another way would be to actually have social democrats elected. However, in order to have them elected, in order for them to even have a chance at being elected, is first we need to unlock the tech, at the very least labor movement, and then socialism. But really the labor movement we need, because that will unlock Social Democratic Party. But then we also need them to gain votes, right? Because they will have some clout, but they need to participate in the electoral system and gain votes. And for that, we will need to change the distribution of power to something other than at least landed voting. Now, wealth voting is a little bit better, but the reality is it has 25% wealth threshold. But Social Democratic Party will derive the bulk of its support from trade unions, right? Intelligentsia can join them. Actually, quite a few other things, you'd be surprised, can join the Social Democratic Party, depending on kind of your laws and what else is available in the political system. But we will need, ideally, to be honest, universal suffrage, right? Even census suffrage that has a 15 wealth threshold, which will cut off most of the lower strata. So we really need to get to universal suffrage. Now, in order to get there, we need to get rid of landowners. Right? Industrialists, we need to just keep a lid on to minimize that opposition when it comes to passing universal suffrage, but we do need to take the landowners down a peg. So this is not really going to work right now. Even with the support, it would be nice to enact census suffrage, but I don't think it's possible. Okay, we do now have a decent surplus actually. So let's have a look at our buildings, construction. And we can actually, I think, go to our military, go to our navy, and actually create a fleet. And I would say start building up our navy. Now we'll build 5 frigates. The way navy works is that, okay, at the very start, so we have light ships, capital ships, and then later on we'll have support vessels. But at the start of the game, basically have the frigate, only lightly armored sailing ship, and mostly used for scouting, patrolling, and escorting missions. 10 offense, 15 defense, 10 morale loss. It requires 1 man-of-war input produced by the military shipyards. There's light ships, and then there is capital ships. Now we have man-of-wars, and they actually require 3 man-of-wars inputs. A bit confusing, but basically these are like military shipyards produce military hulls, right? Called man-of-wars, and they're used as a good. It's a good that is used to that is supplied to maintain flotillas built in naval bases. So man-of-wars are capital ships, sailing ship armed with cannons. This is a real damage dealer, right? They have 25% offense, 25 defense, 10 morale loss. They do have minus 50% convoy raiding efficiency. Now, that brings us to, first of all, you need at max an equal number of man-of-wars to frigates. So if we have 5 frigates, we can build 5 man-of-wars, right? That is max. If we build 6 man-of-wars while only have 5 frigates, we'll get a penalty. Similar to the way artillery and infantry interact, and cavalry as well. So we'll start to build this up, frigates first, and then we'll build up man-of-wars after that, once we have a chance. So that is the Navy. It does also require supply. Later ships require kind of artillery and munitions. You see upkeep per unit, munitions, artillery, and ironclads. That's quite a bit of time before we actually get to that. So I think early on, navies are cheaper to maintain than later on. Later on, navies, I'd say, become prohibitively expensive for small nations, right? Whereas right now, we could actually compete with Spain. Let's have a look. What do they actually have? Real Armada Española, 6 light ships and 3 capital ships. So if we were to able to build 5 and 5, let's say, right? Let's see how much that actually costs. If we were able to build 5 of each, we could already make a bid for at least increased autonomy, if not full independence. Now, the question then is, do we do that now, or do we build paper mills? Yeah, paper mills will still be quite profitable. I think we do go for paper mills. Although, let's just drop this. We might just build 1 naval base, and I will say why. Because navies actually take quite a long time to train up. Quite a long time. And so it's better to build kind of one naval base and get that rolling, start the training of the crew, and then build another one later on, and kind of weave those in between buildings, so that you are constantly training up the navy. Because building 10 quickly, you'll build them much faster as long as you have even like half decent, not even half decent, but just 14 construction up to 20 even. I think at 20 construction, I think even at 14 construction, sorry, is what I'm trying to say, you'll build naval bases faster than you can train up crew. Actually, yeah, have had requests, and this is something I've been trying to do myself, is actually look closer on the map. What do we have in our great socialist or future socialist paradise? But right now it's just a tropical paradise. Our food industry's built. Nice. Now that does. Our food industries is a Santa Clara. Puerto Principe is probably where most of our landowners live. Clearly some plantations here. This is a logging camps. Santiago de Cuba. Yeah, that must be the logging camps. It must be also our ports. Guantanamo. Ooh. Yeah, this is where we got our iron and coal going on. But food industries is actually a good one to build because we can do pot stills and here use our sugar to actually convert that into liquor. Go ahead and speed up to get this, start getting this employed. Alright, this is one way to use sugar and a good one, I think. Now if we switch to sweeteners, we would switch to capitalists, unfortunately. And we want to just kind of maintain a close eye. Oh, there we go. We built the naval. There you go. Our admiralty here. And we built our naval base now. Yeah. So we don't want to switch to capitalists because we do want like a mix of interest groups right now. Industrialists will grow in clout very quickly. Again, as I keep repeating, they'll grow in clout very quickly as we build up our resources, and therefore I want to, whenever we can, I want to try and keep it to shopkeepers, unless we're going into resources, because it is these industries that we're going to pretty much have to switch to higher production methods, because it's very hard to build up mines. First of all, you're limited by the natural endowment of your province. We have 18, so that's good enough, but the production methods tend to I think like work best, or like they give the biggest increase in resource industries, and therefore and these are the inputs that are used everywhere, and it's worth keeping them the prices low. And so it is these ones that will switch to capitalist production methods. But manufactories, we don't have that much demand for these in our own economy. There's more demand in the whole Spanish market, but these we can actually get away with keeping under shopkeepers, keeping them kind of like merchant guild owned, craftsman manufacturing oriented. There we go. We got one naval base, and there you go. You can see I'm going to pin it, and you'll see it will start training troops, and it's going to train them very, very slowly. That's why we want to start building these earlier rather than later. And we'll build our 4, and you saw it took like only like probably 8 weeks to build, just like barracks. We have enough bureaucracy. There you go. We're almost done with our pharmaceuticals, so let's go ahead and push through to that. There we go. Let's go and pause. The discovery of pharmaceuticals allows for medicine to jump ahead, as they can be prescribed for all types of ailments. +1 max health system institution investment unlocks private and public health insurance. Okay. First of all, we're going to go to laws, we're going to health system, we're going to enact public health insurance. Now we do have opposition from industrialists now, and this is why we need to be careful when we manage that. So you see, didn't have these at the start of the game, we just had the 30%, it would have been easy to pass this. Yeah, industrialists now oppose charity hospitals too. Now importantly, as I talked about in the first episode, and there was already a comment under the first episode saying, oh, you should pass charity hospitals because it will increase your population growth. And that is very beneficial for country like Cuba because you will be constrained by labor. That is all 100% correct. It is a great idea. However, there's a trade-off here. Now, the reason there's a trade-off, so we could have passed charity hospitals at the start of the game, giving us half a point in standard of living. And then if we, let's say, then research pharmaceuticals to get this to level 2, then we would have charity hospitals at level 2 for pretty much the first 50 years of the game. And we would get it 7 years earlier than now. Right, so it's 1842. We could have gotten this in 1836. Charity hospital. So for the last 6 years of the game, we could have been having at least half 0.5 standard of living and minus 3% mortality, right? And now we would have increased that to level 2. However, if we did pass charity hospitals, we would not be able to pass public health insurance until we got trade unions, which would be 1870s, honestly, 70s at the earliest. In fact, probably like 1886, so about 50, 60 years into the game, right? Why is that? Well, that is because the way law, to pass a law, you need an interest group in government that endorses that law, right? That is one kind of statement. That is one fact of Victoria 3. However, what you also need, if you look at here, so Catholic Church is pious. This group believes religious principles are paramount moral truths and they should permeate all society. Therefore, its stance on health system, it endorses charity hospitals, so it would prefer charity hospitals, but it's neutral towards public health insurance, which is, kind of perhaps unintuitively means it does actually want public health insurance if there is no health system at all, right? Because it opposes having no health system, right? It does oppose private health insurance as well. So we will never support these. And when presented with a situation like now, where it's either no health or private, it would rather have public health or charity. Obviously, it would prefer charity. So if we were to pass charity hospitals, that's it. We would forever pretty much lose the support of Catholic Church for public health insurance. And public health insurance, right, even though we had to wait 6 years for it now, right, but we are going to pass it, right? When we do pass it, it will give us one level by itself, plus one level from pharmaceuticals, which I have, plus two levels. So it will raise our public health institution to maximum level 4, which should give us 2 standard of living for everybody, not just lower strata, everybody. That will increase the population growth rate by itself on its own for everybody, for lower, middle, and upper strata. That will also increase migration attraction massively. Plus, right, because we get 50% bonus from green and grass campaign, so we'll get 50% on top of that, right? And then we get 25% from trade center on this too, right? Plus, if we actually get to become a minor power, we'll get another. We'll lose a 25% penalty, and so again, gain that way. We also gain better per level pollution effects reduction in public health insurance, and we get better mortality reduction per level. Plus, we have 4 as opposed to 2 levels, right? So yes, we had to wait 6 years for this, but this will be worth it, like massively worth it. So let's see, we're gonna pass it in the next episode now. But let's go ahead and just focus on research. And what I would do right now is let's benefit fully from having banking spread to us naturally. I am hoping the stock exchange actually spreads to us by itself. Now we do need to get to, we'll go atmospheric, engine, and railways. And I will explain probably now in the next episode as to why we need to gun for railways kind of sooner rather than later. The basic reason is that A, we need to industrialize, but in fact that's probably reason number 2. That's probably reason B. But reason number A is we're going to start to run out of infrastructure. The only other way to build up infrastructure is to build ports, which is not very efficient because they're going to suck up a lot of our labor while only giving us 5 infrastructure per level. And now there is an additional benefit from having this. We would get convoys, right, which would be quite nice because we'd be able to do more trade. However, because we have an overlord in the form of the Spaniards, we're contributing 75% of our convoys to them, and therefore building ports is not very efficient at all as Cuba. It's nice to build because we still get 5 infrastructure, and we kind of have to because we won't have railways for, in any case, another very long time, another 6 years. So we'll have to build some, and in the future we will be hopefully make use of those convoys. But for now, it's not a very efficient choice. So we'll gun for railways, I think, next in our research. So yeah, we are coming up on the hour, guys. So I'm going to cut the episode here. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Hopefully we're going at a faster pace than in previous series. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.